Hi, it's Jonny and Tricia. We're going to take you on a little tour of North Philly where we imagine church planting opportunities for our congregation on North Broad. When we started it, we thought that we would be a little outpost for Circle of Hope in North Philly. By the way, I'm not driving right now, I'm parked. And we thought that we could be a presence here that didn't conflict with the other congregations. Of course, we have one in the Northwest, and I've always had aspirations for one in the Northwest, and we have one in Kensington and Fishtown. We want it to be somewhere in the middle there, primarily tapping into the communities around Temple and around Fairmount, Francisville, and Brewery Town. Right now, we are parked roughly at Broad and Lehigh, and we're going to begin our tour here.
In general, the challenges north of York are that many of our attenders don't live here, or even potential attenders. It's cheaper, and we're not sure how real estate or moving trends will go. It's not a hot spot for development, nor are the neighbors very threatened by gentrification. We looked at this building here.
This mosque right here that I'm circling.
Which was for sale, and we considered purchasing it. But based on the challenges it presents and how much further north it is, decided it wasn't a good church planting option for us.
So as you go further south on Broad, the development starts to pick up and you begin to see more students and integration with the residents. Right over here is Manna, where we are now. We'll circle back to that eventually. As you go further south, you see more opportunities, fuller blocks, but it does get more expensive. This is in general where we have looked for buildings. Right up here is Charlie Cho's property, Broad and Susquehanna. And that deal didn't end up working out, but we've always thought that around this area would be the ideal place for a church that wants to attract Temple students. Now we're driving through Temple's campus. This is the furthest north end of it. Now we have, currently we don't have any cells here. We have one that meets at 17th and Susquehanna, which is a little bit further west from where we are. We're on Broad Street now. But in general, planting a cell here and making connections with student organizations or even beginning one of our own would be a great boon to our mission. Right up here, there's a field right up here. We actually held a Sunday meeting there this summer. Being around here has, this is where I moved when I first came to Philly and how I got connected to Circle from this area. So this is kind of the bustling area that we spend a lot of our time in.
South of Temple, the scenery changes. Having cells in this area opens us up to students on campus comfortable going south of it. Most students do not live south of Temple, but it opens us up to new areas and constituencies. It makes Center City outreach more conceivable. Broad and Girard and Broad and Fairmount are possible Center City locations for now or for later.
So we're further south on North Broad here. We just passed Girard. We're approaching Fairmount. Fairmount would be the southmost barrier for us. You know, we've always thought of ourselves as Lehigh to Fairmount. This whole area is getting super developed. This building right here is supposed to be an entertainment complex in a few years. The Divine Lorraine up here is finally actually getting developed. And so there are church planting opportunities here. Largely we haven't tapped into them, but when we start imagining being close to Fairmount, we can imagine a church plant like Tricia was talking about in Center City, or at least connecting to one that exists there.
We just turned onto Ridge Avenue, and traveling up Ridge offers another corridor that straddles North Philly and Center City. That's where we shine, Temple and North Philly. These corridors between areas of the city that lack reconciliation are thin places where Jesus is and needs to be. We bring him here.
Here we are. This is right at 19th and Girard, where we first met. We actually met in this building right here, the Berean Institute. We started our congregation here and found it again to be one of those segregated corridors. Girard Ave and Poplar Ave are one of the most segregated, racially segregated corridors in town. Francisville is right over here to the south. And we planted some roots here and met a lot of people. It was a good place to be. We used to do a caroling around here, now that I think of it. Further west, we're going to get into Brewery Town. Tricia's going to talk to us about that.
Here we are along Girard Avenue in Brewery Town. We have some connections here in some businesses and in several houses. And many folks have moved here and have a small sense of community, which has proven to be incrementally inclusive, but not quite at the rate of Brewery Town's expansion.
So Brewery Town's growing a little bit fast, but we're not including a lot of people from Brewery Town. It seems to me like our people moved to Brewery Town, and then, you know, we even have most of our cells here, but we haven't tapped into the neighborhood as much as we wish, even despite our connections. And we've looked at some properties here, most of which have been insufficient for our needs. Essentially, too expensive or too narrow would be the other problem. So we're about to pass Crime and Punishment, which is one of our, I wouldn't say our good businesses, but some of our friends run that one. And then right up here is Pizza Dad's, which Joe Hunter runs. So one thing we should note is that Brewery Town is an increasingly developing area where a lot of new residents are coming. It often ends up, this is one of the coolest, so to speak, neighborhoods that we are close to, that we consider part of our overall zone and strategy. So there are residents that are moving here. It's not as hot as some other areas, but that's, I think, a noteworthy factor. We're about to cross the river here, getting to our furthest west that we've been on this trip and that we even imagine ourselves being.
Here we are in Mantua. We have an outpost here, a cell and a household, and this area brings many opportunities as well for the future, for us, and for potential church planting. We have a few different opportunities.
Yeah, we just passed Fairmount, so we're still in the general vicinity. We're still north of Fairmount largely, but just further west. So that's kind of the triangle that we're looking at, and what we imagine a variety of church planting opportunities could be in. So we're just getting back to Banna in a second. That's where we started. But in general, the three kind of areas that we're looking at, you have Temple, North Philly, near Fairmount and Ridge Ave in Center City, and then also Brewery Town and Mantua. Those communities, we can find a variety of oikoi there and try to make some connections that are lasting and deepening. For us, though, we feel God most moving us to stay where we are now, along North Broad, where there's a lot of access, a lot of different people can come to our regional thing, which has never developed really as a neighborhood thing, a regional thing that can connect a lot of different people. Being on North Broad, near Temple, seems to me the best bet for us, combining the factors of cost, population, and even variety of people, variety of opportunities. The actual Manna Bible Institute might be our best bets for staying or even buying the building should an opportunity present itself or should it make sense. So that's where we stand as far as church planting. Thanks for going on the tour with us.